Hello students, welcome to this lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the basic facts about convolution code, objectives to study convolution code, and then we are going to solve some numerical based on the convolution coding techniques. The first thing, what is a convolution code? Convolution coding is a popular error correcting coding method used to improve the reliability of a communication system. Convolution codes are error detecting code used to reliably transmit digital data over unreliable communication channel system to a channel noise. Convolution coding of a data is accomplished using a shift register and the associate combinational logic that performs mod to addition. A shift register is merely a chain of flip-flop wherein the output of the nth flip-flop is tied to the input of the n plus 1 flip-flop. In convolution coding, the block of the encode bits generated by the encoder in a particular time instant depend not only on the block of the key message bit within that time instant but also depend on the block of data bits within a previous span of n-1 time instant. A convolution code with a constant length of n consists of a n stages shift register, that is SR, and we are having mod 2 adders. Now this is what we have explained in a previous slide. This is a representation of a convolution coder. A convolution coder is made up of a shift register and it is having a mod 2 adder. So here for this particular example we are having a 3 shift register S0, S1 and S2, and we are having a mod 2 adder. Now how this mod 2 adder works? So in this case the first mod 2 adder is having an input which is from the S0, S1 and S2, and for second case the input are from S0 and S1. Now the input is always applied to the first shift register, that is in the LSB. LSB to MSB is the way of representing the input bit, and for each input bit we are getting the two output bits as we are having a two mod operators or mod adders are there. So if my input is 1, I am getting two output, that is a O1 and O2, which is represented by 1 1. In this case I will explain you how it comes. Similarly for next bit, when the second bit comes into the picture, the data which is present in the S0 is shifted to S1 and the S1 it is shifted to S2 as it is a shift register, and then there is a change in the output. So here for each bit of input we are getting the 2 bit or 3 bit of the output. Now the parameter which defines this is called as a code rate. Coder rate is a very important parameter for designing an convolution encoder. So what is that coder rate? Coder rate is given by the value of k by n, where k indicates the number of message bits. So in this case by default it is 1, and n indicates number of output bit. So for this particular example we are having two output bits, therefore the coder rate in this case is 1 by 2, first thing. And the configuration of a coder. Now the configuration of encoder is having a 3 major parameter, n, k and m, where n indicates the number of output bits, k indicates the number of input bits, and this m indicates the number of shift register used in this particular coder. Now about the working, let us assume that the input data are 10110 and find out the coded sequence output for. Initially the shift registers are having the value as 000. When the first message bit, that is a 1, enters the first flip-flop, the value of S0 become 1 and the value from S0 is shifted to S1 and from S1 it is shifted to S2. So what are the values which we are having? The values are 1, 0, 0, and then our task is to find out the respective output. So for first case it is 1 XOR with 0 comes out to be 1. 1 XOR 0 XOR 0 comes out to be 1, and for the second stage it is 1 XOR 0 comes out to be 1. We are repeating the same for the second bit. Your second bit is 0, 0 enters into the shift register S0. From M0 the value is shifted to S1, and from S1 the value is shifted to S2. So what are the values? The values are 0, 1 and 0, and then we find out the respective output. So the first output comes out to be 0 XOR 1 XOR 0 is 1, and second one is 0 XOR 1 comes out to be 1. So that is a value for the second input bit, and we are repeating the same for the third input bit, and for the third input bit my output comes out to be 0 1. Then how to write out the output sequence? So the output sequence is written as the value which we get from the first input, the value which we get from the second input, and the value which we get from the third input. The same thing was represented over here. This is my first output, second output, third output, and so on. So in this way we are designing a convolution encoder. Then the parameter of a convolution encoder, first one is the convolution codes are commonly specified by 3 parameters n, k and m, where n indicates the number of output bits, k indicates the number of input bits, and m indicates the number of memory registers. Then the code rate. Now the code rate is given by the ratio of number of input bit to the number of output bit. It is a measure of the efficiency of the code. Last one is a constraint length. The quantity L or K is called as a constraint length of the code. It represents the number of bits in the encoder memory that affects the generation of n output bits. Analysis of a convolution encoder. Now for analysis of a convolution encoder, we require two things. First one is the impulse response, which is represented in a polynomial format. So here G1, G2 represents the impulse response for the respective values of 1 and 2, which is represented in terms of a polynomial. So this first one is a polynomial for G1, second one is a polynomial for the second term. Now here the M is a value, then second one, the P. What is this P indicates? P is the delay operator. Similarly, we are representing or we are writing the polynomial for the message bit. So MP is indicating the representation of a polynomial for a message bit. So the highest value is L minus 1, where L defines the constraint length. Now how to get the final output of the convolution encoder in a transfer domain. So x1 of P, this x1 of P indicates your first bit of an input or the first bit of an output, which is nothing but the multiplication of an impulse into the message bit. Similarly, we are getting the value for the second. X2P is equals to G2P into MP. Now what is this G1 and G2? G1 and G2 are nothing but our impulse responses. Okay. Then representation of an encoder. Encoders are represented in a 4 format. First one is a generator representation, state diagram representation, tree diagram representation, and last one is a trellis diagram. Now to understand the representation, all this representation, we have directly take one sum so that the concepts get clear easily. So this is the example. A rate 1/3 convolution encoder is having a generating vectors, that is a G1 100, G2 111, G3 as 101. So they ask us to find out, first to sketch the encoder configuration, draw the code tree, state diagram and the trellis diagram. And third one is the if message sequence is given to us, determine the output sequence of the encoder. So these 3 parameters we have to solve. The first one is, we have, before solving the actual sum, we have to note down some dimensions, that is a K and N. So what is your K? K is 1 and N is 3. So this will define the code rate. So what we come to know from value K and N, N means what? We are, for single input we are having a 3 output. So it means we are having a 3 output which is given by x1, x2 and x3. Now how to find out the values of x1 and x2 and x3? This x1, x2, x3 values are given by the generator values which is given to us. x1 is because of a first generator, x2 is because of second generator, and x3 is because of a third generator. Now first we focus on finding out the values of x1, x2 and x3. Your first generator G1 is given as a 100. So from this, what we write down, x1 is equals to M. This first value is M. See here, this indicates your LSB value, therefore we have written it as only M. Second one is 111, so this is M, M1 and M2. G3 is 101, so it is written as a M XOR M2. So first the values of x1, x2, x3 are with us. Then we go for actually drawing the encoder. Encoder is having 3 shift resistor M, M1 and M2. It is having a 3 output x1, x2 and x3. And then we just have to find out the relations for x1, x2 and x3. What is the x1? x1 is simply M. What is x2? x2 is the XORing of M, M1 and M2. That will give you x2. And x3 is the XORing of M with the M2. Next, so once the encoder designing is with us, we go for a second step, that is for generating the transition diagram. So for generating the transition table, 2 parameters are very important. First one is the equations. So this is the equation with us. And second one is the relation between current stage and the input. So here the first part of the table indicates the current stages, which is given by the values which are present at the shift register M2 and M1. Then we are input is already taken from the shift register M. Okay. Now as we are having only 2 values, as the shift register is made up of a 3, or as it is having a 3 bits, your first bit is by default the input bit. Now this 2 bits represents your current stages. So as it is of 2 bit size, means we are having a 4 combination or 4 stages are there, and they are represented as A is equals to 00 first stage, B is equals to 01, C is equals to 10 and D is equals to 11. So first you note down these values, and then we have to check the values of respective input. So as input is of size 1, it is having two combination, means if my current stage is 0 0, I will have input as a 0 or input as a 1. Similarly, if my current stage is 0 1, I may have input as a 0 and or as a 1. Likewise, we have written all those values, and then we find out the respective outputs value. So for finding output values, we are just taking the help of these equations which we have derived in earlier slide. So what is your x1? x1 is only m. So we just copy all the values of m as it is in this case. x2 is XORing of m with m1 and m2. Take an example of this point. So here we are taking XORing of m. This is m, m1 and m2. So 1 XOR 0, XOR 0 comes out to be 1. Third condition, m XOR with m2. So your m is XOR with m2, 1 XOR 0 comes out to be 1. So in this way we find out the all outputs considering the input and the current stages. So it will give you all respective outputs. So once the outputs are with us, we then go for finding out the next stages. So next stage is always defined by m1 and m2. See, after shifting, what will happen? The shift register is represented as m, m1 and m2. Okay, now after the shifting, the value which is present in m1 is shifted to m2, and the value which is present in m is shifted to m. So because of that, my second stage is represented as m1 and by m1 and m only. So after we are just putting the values of m1 and m, so what is your m1 in this case is 0 and m is 0, so it is 0 0. In this second case, your m1 is 0 and m is 1, so I just copy the value, and similarly I repeat it for all rest of values. And once these values are with us, what we come to know, if my current stage is 0 0, that is a A, and input is 0, what is going to be my next stage? This is 0 0, and 0 0 is nothing but A only. Similarly, if my current stage is A, input is 1, my next stage is 0 1, that is state B. And if my, let's take example, if my current stage is C, input is 0, my output is, or my next stage is 0 0, this 0 0 indicates state 1. Similarly, if my current stage is C, input is 1, my next stage comes to be 0 1, that is a stage B. So in this way we are drawing the state diagram. So once that state diagram is at, our next step is to finding the trellis diagram. So for trellis diagram, we are taking help of the state diagram. So how to draw a trellis diagram? So for trellis diagram, first we write down all the values of a current stage, that is a A, B, C, D, and all the possible values of a next stage, that is A, B, C, D, and then we have to make a connection according to this table. So from this table, what we come to know, here one thing is very important, the lines which I have used for joining the dots. So here the blue line indicates the next stage for my input is equals to 0, and the green line indicates the value of next stage if my input is equals to 1. So blue is for n is equals, blue is for input 0 and green is for input is equals to 1. You can take anything, you can use a solid line and a dotted line for the representation, anything will work, but you have to be sure, you have to differentiate the lines only. So how to draw this? Just begin the drawing. So initially my input stage is A. So for A, if my input is 0, what is my next stage? Next stage is A. So therefore I have joining one line from A to A, that indicates input is equals to 0, and for that respective value, what is my output? Output comes to be 000. Similarly, if my input is A, so if my current stage is A and input is 1, what is my next stage? Next stage is given as a 0 1, that is my B. So I am just drawing this thing to the B only, and for that, what is my respective output? It is a B. So in this way I am repeating for all rest values of a current stage. If B is my current stage, my next stage is C and D if my inputs are 0 and 1 respectively. If my current stage is C and input is 0, my next stage is A, and input is 1, my next stage is B, and then on that particular lines we are writing the respective values of the output, which we have taken directly from this particular table. So this is all about the trellis diagram. Next one is a state diagram. Now the state diagram representation is somewhat similar to that of a trellis diagram, but here we are representing it in the terms of a state diagram. So here what we are doing, we are taking the nodes. Nodes represents the stages. Here we are not defining, we are not having two separate notations for the current stage and the next stage. Here we are just having representation of stages only. So how to work it? So we begin with the first stage, that is a. If my input is 0, what is my next stage? A only. So here I am making one self loop with the output of 000. Second condition, if my A is my current stage, input is 1. My next stage is going to be 0, 1, that is a B. So I have drawn one arrow which is moving towards a B, and on that I have written the output as a triple way. And the similarly way I have drawn all other lines. That is, from B we are moving to D as well as to C if my inputs are 1 and 0 respectively. From C I am moving towards A and towards B if my inputs are 0 and 1 likewise. After state diagram is a tree diagram. Now tree diagram, here we are not having two different notations for representing input as 0 and 1. Here we are just following a simple rule. And what was that rule? If my input value is 0, I move in upward direction. If my input value is 1, I move in a downward direction. I again repeat, if my input is 0, I move in upward direction. For 1, I move in a downward direction. So let's begin sketching. So A is my first stage. If my input is 0, I move in an upward direction. What is my next stage? My next stage comes out to be A only. And on that path, I am writing the output as a 000. If A is my current stage and input is 1, I move in the downward direction. And what is my next stage? The next stage comes out to be B. And in that path, I am writing the output as a 111. Then I move to B. If my input is 0 here, what is my next stage? My next stage comes out to be C. And what is the respective output? It is a 0, 1, 0. If my input is equals to 1, I move into downward direction. What is my next stage? That is a D. And output is 1, 1, 0. And in the same way, I repeat tracing the tree diagram. Okay. Then the last step, that is to obtain the output for M is equals to 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. So this is the input which is given to us, and they have asked us to find out the encoded output for 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. So what's the procedure? To determine the generator polynomial, first is to determine the generator polynomial. So what is your G1P? They have given us the equation. Generator polynomial 1 is 1, 0, 0, second one is 111, and last one is 1, 0, 1. Now here we are representing it from LSB to MSB. So when you are going to convert it, always consider this value or the first position as a LSB and last one as a MSB. So as this is a LSB, it is written as a 1. The power is actually increasing, so it is a 1 plus P square. Therefore it comes to be 1. For second condition it is 1 plus P square. That is my polynomial. And for third condition it is a 1 plus P square. So once the generator polynomial is obtained, our next stage is to determine the message polynomial. So the message is given as 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Again, message is applied to the input from LSB to MSB. So this is your LSB. Therefore it is 1, 0P plus P square plus P cube plus 0P raised to 4. And that is comes out to be 1 plus P square plus P cube. And once these two values are given to us, we have to find the output sequence for first. The first output sequence, that is the x1p, is given as the multiplication of a generator polynomial with the message polynomial. We take the multiplication and the output comes out to be 1 plus P square plus P cube. We are repeating the same for the second. So G2p is generator polynomial second is multiplied with the message polynomial, that is 1 plus P square is multiplied with the 1 plus P square plus P cube, and the answer comes out to be 1 plus P raised to 5. And for the last stage, it is a G3P. So we are multiplying the value of a generator polynomial third with the message polynomial, that is a 1 plus P square is multiplied by 1 plus P square plus P cube, and the answer comes out to be 1 plus P cube plus P raised to 4 plus P5. So once all the values of x are with us, or all output sequences are with us, we have to sequence them to generate the actual output. So first one is we have to convert them in terms of a bit. So your x, that is the last value, is represented as 1, 0, 0, because here P2 and P values are not there, so we have written as a 0, 0, and then 111. X2 is represented as 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, and X1 is represented as a 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. So once all the values of our output are with us, our final task is to arrange them in a sequence. So how to write those sequence? That is the first value, second value, third value. So this will give you first output, or the output for the first bit. Then the second, this value 0, 1, 0 in this way will give you output for the second bit, and then likewise we are getting the output. So as the coder which we have designed is of size 1/3, means for the single input bit we are having how many outputs? We are having 3 outputs. Okay, and in this way we are generating the output sequence by using a convolution encoder. Thank you for listening to my video. Thank you so much.